is just gay too, but then lesbians want to be called out, and transgender people want to be called out. So you want to be all inclusive. I think queer kind of rolls.
Yeah, and I think queer is a little bit more inclusive. Jeez. Okay, so he doesn't have access. There. Yeah, no, he's commenting. Let's see here. I'm gonna try booting you one more time, Aaron, and then we'll see what happens.
Technology is a fucker. Although we couldn't do anything that we do without it, but
and we're still waiting on Kevin.
Yeah, I should check my email.
Although he was subscribed, so and I haven't seen that Kevin has joined. And we're about 5 minutes away, so we're still okay. Boy, still having a hard time connecting there, Aaron.
What are you drinking? There's ice in that.
I've got vodka and ginger ale. I didn't want to have red teeth here.
I didn't even think of that. Oh,
you guys look all right. You look all right.
Yikes. Smart. It's something that somebody who's used to being on camera knows. Don't drink wine. Oh, Kevin just Facebooked me.
Yeah. So, Aaron, why don't we try? Are you accessing through your laptop? And if you are you able to connect your phone to the internet there, the Wi-Fi?
This could be a three-way.
On this great topic.
The financial geeks will be talking about, who wants to listen to that?
Kevin's text system just crashed, he said. So I don't know what all that means, but...
Okay.
These fiscally responsible people don't invest in technology.
So Aaron says he doesn't see us again. Yeah.
I wonder if you get only so many tries, and the system says, obviously they don't want you here. Stop harassing
them. Not certain. He says he doesn't see us. This may end up being a David Ray exclusive.
Well, you got Tucker. About him.
I'm plugged into my modem, so hopefully we'll stay.
Yeah, our first 2 episodes, we were messes too. We didn't understand that we had to have so much speed for uploading.
Yeah.
We didn't know we had to be direct connected to our modem. We didn't know how to work the sound. We thought we had it all nailed down, but I guess everything that can go wrong will.
Things to learn.
Yeah, exactly. It's new technology. Oh, we're going to give this another try here.
Come on.
Third time's a charm, maybe.
Yeah.
There we go.
Sorry, guys.
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Sorry, I'm not very tech savvy.
That's okay.
That's cool.
As we were explaining to David, we've had audio and visual video issues the first 3 weeks. David didn't have audio the first week. Our audio failed halfway through the show the second week, and we had to hop on our phones. And then last week, one of our guests was audio only. So It just kind of depends. So,
All right, cool.
yeah.
So we're waiting for Kevin. His system just crashed, so he said it should be a few minutes, but we got time.
Yeah, we got a little bit of time. We don't have any other watchers right now. We're just kind of.
But Aaron does have an appointment at 7.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
we have to wrap
That's
up.
right. We'll either boot you out at 5 minutes till, or we'll be wrapped up before that. So
All right, cool.
yeah,
Is that your office, Aaron?
It's a work office. It's not my office.
yeah, stuff will pretty
Fancy
for Jim.
wallpaper.
Look, see, we got chandelier.
Oh wow, jeez.
And this is in a gym?
Yeah, this is the gym.
This is our gym, yeah.
Wow, that's the difference between Hollywood and Denver.
Right. I don't think that there are gyms like that in Denver.
What gym are you at?
Mansion Fitness.
There you go.
Yeah.
Not Darren forever.
Do you two know each other, or I don't? I mean, I know LA is massive, so but
I'm sure
I
we have
actually
people in common.
moved here last June, so
okay,
I'm fairly new to Los Angeles.
okay.
Where'd you move from?
Chicago.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I will say that we're having a little bit of a hard time hearing you. Your volume is pretty low. I don't know if you have ability to turn up the microphone or sit closer.
I can sit closer. Let me look at my mic.
Okay.
I can talk louder too.
Okay.
You can always start too after.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and get started and hope that that Kevin is able to join us. So
Hold on.
just let him know and tell him to jump in when he can.
He just Facebook something, I think. No, maybe not.
I just sent something. I always shut down all of our computers and phones when we start this so we don't drain the energy. So we can start, I guess, whenever. If you want to wait a little bit, or
I don't really want to share, but let's go ahead and share the last 30 seconds. I just want to get this to go away so I can want to be able to tweet it out. But oh well.
I just turned my mic up. Did that help?
Yeah, we can hear you. You are gonna have to stay a little closer to the mic, I think.
Okay.
All right.
that's cool.
So we are recording, so we'll go ahead and get started. Are we ready?
Do it.
All right. Hi, I'm David.
And I'm John.
And we're the Debt-Free Guys, and this is Queer Money. We believe that there needs to be a voice for the LGBT community in the personal finance space, and we also have a voice of some sirens going by here, so John's getting the door for us. We forgot to close them early on. So we believe that there needs to be a voice in the personal finance space for the LGBT community, and that's why we're here. And that's what Queer Money is all about. We also believe that we need to be a financially strong community, and that's part of the reason why we ask the questions that we do on this show, and hopefully provide you with some answers that will help you become financially strong.
This episode of Queer Money, we're talking about gay sex and gay money. The theory is that gay men have a lot of sex and consequently spend a lot of money on trying to stay sexy, look sexy, be sexy. So we want to discuss whether or not that's true and whether or not we're getting a good return on our investment. So that's what this is about. We've got some great experts on the show to discuss that with us. Today's show is brought to us by HIVsmart.org. HIVsmart.org is dispelling the myths of HIV, so we thank them for their sponsorship, the work that they do, and we ask you to please visit their website at HIVsmart.org.
Definitely. And Queer Money is an open discussion, so if you would like to join in the conversation, you can add comments on the right-hand rail by just going and typing them in. If you'd like to ask a question, type /Q before your question, and that question will then appear for the rest of us to see. So why don't we go ahead and meet our 2 of our 3 guests since we're hanging on for the third.
All right, so we'll go with David Ray first. If you want to introduce yourself, please.
Hi there, I'm David Ray. I'm a financial planner here in LA, and I specialize in the LGBT community, queer community, whatever you want to call it. That's about it.
Thank you for joining. We're excited to have you back. We had you
Happy to be
on
here.
our show a couple times ago, and technology wasn't our friend that night, so we're glad to have you back.
Just a second. And David, why don't you tell us a little bit about where you're at out there as well? I know you're a financial planner, but you seem to be quite a few other places as well.
I do. I blog regularly for the Huffington Post in the Queer Voices space. I write for the Advocate magazine in their financial business section, and I pretty much end up on the news as much as possible, talking stock market investing. That's a little straighter and a little more general, boring financial stuff, but still, I try and make it as interesting as possible, which usually helps get me back on. So,
well, at least you're not ending up in the news for bad reasons.
No.
It's all helpful. And Aaron, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Sure. My name's Aaron Guy. I'm a personal trainer in Hollywood, California. I also work out of a gym in West Hollywood, so I'm pretty familiar with the LGBT community. I've been doing this for 15 years. I work with a pretty elite client base, and I write for various media outlets. I've written articles for Men's Journal, Men's Fitness, and I write for Queerty on a regular basis as well.
Nice. Very cool. Well, thank you for having being on our show. And we're also excited to have you as a contributor to our Queer Money Lifestyle newsletter. So look out for some of Aaron's work coming from that soon. We also have Kevin Gatto is supposed to be joining us soon. He's having technology issues. Kevin is a stylist out of Collingswood, New Jersey. He owns a salon there called Verde Salon, and he also helps other stylists and salons become profitable and turn their business around. I've seen a reality show about that, I thought. So to get us started, David came up with a creative question that we didn't share with everybody in advance, so hopefully it doesn't catch anybody off guard. But we want to know a couple of things that you guys find attractive in men. What is ultimately appealing to you? What do you look for in a guy?
Whole spectrum. It doesn't have to necessarily be physical, but whole spectrum. What do you find attractive?
So we'll start. Aaron, do you want to go first?
Sure. My number one requirement is confidence. Confidence is sexier than anything, and it's free.
That's so true. It is free.
That's fiscally responsible.
Although some people pay a lot of money to try to gain confidence.
True. I've met a lot of beautiful, beautiful men who had no confidence, and it's an instant turnoff.
Yeah, interesting.
I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah. By the way, I'm just going to add, as I reach for mine, normally we don't drink on Queer Money, but because we're talking about a subject that David is rather vanilla on, we decided to have a glass of wine while we're recording the show.
We should later
cheers to everyone out there who's
drink up.
Aaron has a client after this, so I'm sure he'll take advantage of it later.
Very cool.
All right.
So David Ray, do you want to? Can you share with us what you find attractive?
Well, we're going to be in the gay community here. I think the stereotypical good looks is a good starting point, but that just gets the door open. If you want to stick around, you're going to have your act together. I think it's really great. Confidence, having aspirations, enjoying what you do, whether that's something good for the environment or just good for yourself or good for the community. It's just nice to be involved with things and have something to talk about other than, well, I want to know you go to the gym, but I don't need to just talk, no offense to the gym, but if all we talk about is what you did at the gym today and that's the end of the conversation, you might not be as confident as one might like.
Or what you did at the bar last night, or who you did at the bar.
I'd rather probably hear about the gym than the bar.
Right. After the bar, maybe.
Great conversation. I love my gossip, but if that's all we have to talk about, that you're probably going to need to keep on moving.
Yeah, I think you guys have pretty much summed up what I put down in my notes here. I look for charisma and charm. And I like a guy that's healthy and fit, but that's not all that I'm looking for. If they're not confident, if they have no ambition, then after a while that relationship can only go so far. So what do you look for in a guy?
Oh yes.
Well, I will kind of agree with both of you. I generally look for what's in the head, so a little bit of confidence and intelligence, but then I'm also the other end. I like the butts, so I'll just say, I like the whole package.
Exactly. Maybe Aaron later can share us some butt exercises.
There we go.
I second that. I'm a butt guy too.
Well, no, I won't go there.
That's a very popular.
So everything that most of us, not everything, but a lot of what most of us talked about, like Aaron said, is free. Confidence and ambition and Nobody really said you need to have, a master's degree. Nobody said you need to have a certain car, house, income. But we're all looking for something a little bit more, bigger than that.
I think that car comment may be the opposite of confidence. If you see the guy pull up in certain types of cars, you might go, "Oh God."
Yeah, it could be a sign.
It could be a sign. I mean, you don't want to have a nice car, but there's a point if you're. Don't want to throw anyone in the bus, but there's certain people in a Porsche of a certain age might be having a midlife crisis, or here in LA, in a Corvette, which isn't very LA at least. You're like, oh, that's interesting. Convertible. They're a little cooler in other parts of the country, I've noticed or heard, but I don't know any gay people that would drive one here. But good for them.
Yeah, every once in a while. It's interesting you say that, David, because our very first show was overspending to overcompensate, and that's one of the questions we asked: is there a tendency in our community to overspend, to overcompensate because of feelings of insecurity? And I think in general, we find a lot of people nod their heads yes, but are too introspective or self-reflective when it comes to that issue. And we kind of question, what's the driving reason behind that? It actually came out of a podcast that John was on with a Forbes writer, and the two of them were asking why gay men spend so much money and potentially put themselves in so much debt, and that may be one of the reasons.
I think that the gay lifestyle in general is quite expensive. We're going to live in high cost places. We're going to want to look successful with a nice car. We're going to go to Mansion Fitness or any fitness and pay for a personal trainer. I think, I'm not bagging on it on trainer by any stretch, but I think what we expect to look like as a gay community as a certain age is much different than probably the average straight man in Idaho somewhere. And again, I'm here in LA and I'm probably running around a little bit prettier crowd than maybe some other people, but it's with my friends and across the country, they have the same issues of wanting to look a certain way, wanting to stay young. A lot of us are a little forever young and running they call it, I think, the Peter Pan syndrome I've read about in the gay community. So, we might be 60 years old, but we still want to keep up with the 22-year-olds at the bar and the clubs, which probably not too many 60-year-old straight men. Well, maybe they are at the clubs. I don't know.
I was younger, now that you see a rando.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, once in a while,
Yeah.
not every weekend.
Yeah.
Well, so there's actually the American Medical Association, I think it was, did a study, and they found that gay men tend to be thinner than straight men, and tend to have a third less obese. Aaron, would you agree with that? Is that?
I mean, yeah, definitely. The ideal set for gay men is a lot more elevated than your typical straight guy. Although I will say, living in a city like Los Angeles, you've got that whole metrosexual thing now. So a lot of straight guys that are younger are probably investing just as much into their looks as gay men. But in general, yeah, I would definitely say my gay clients are more focused on the superficial aspects of working out.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Do you think that's that's sort of a continuum of the overspending to overcompensate? Are they trying to make up for something that's lacking?
I just think that men are visually stimulated. So we as men are attracted to looks. And so we realize that, and we want to have that look in order to meet that need to have guys attracted to us. Women tend to be attracted to less than not just looks,
It's a nice way to put it.
They want to take care of them and make them feel good. Guys tend to be just about, what the body looks like.
Yeah.
So,
well, and oftentimes that's why I think the theory, from what I've experienced, holds true that gay men have more sex, because I think at the end of the day, both partners are men, and men in general just want to have sex, and whereas women aren't as driven in that area.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%.
If you want to get laid, you probably can. It's just a matter of how much you have to drink to do it.
Beer goggles?
Yeah, let's hope it's not too much.
Or someone else has to drink to sleep with you. That's what it depends.
No, nobody on this panel.
Not this panel, but I'm sure someone out there.
So I want to follow up the first question with have any of us gone too far trying to win the affection of someone else in terms of trying to look good or put too much investment in how our hair is or the suits that we wear or the cars that we have. Can anybody share a story or an example of that, how they might have made that mistake in their life?
I've seen it with other people. I can't say I've done it, but I've definitely seen people whose budget was busted by gifts and things they were spending on some random person who does not appear to be interested in them. Or, just the amount of money that we might spend at the gym and tanning and taking people out to nice expensive dinners and drinks and trying to, buy affection along the way there or really go with the money as your leading factor.
Yeah. Well, so you're a money pro in the LGBT community. Do you see that people need help kind of climbing out of that hole a lot? Is that a common problem?
I don't know if it's a mess about sex because I think quite often the younger and cuter you are, the less you need to really have the car to go have that sex. But I do think you do see a lot of people who do have the car or, are trying to live in the right neighborhood and, based on where they're at in their life or their income, they are overspending or it's expensive to live in West Hollywood or it's expensive to live in the gay neighborhoods in many places. So, if you're just starting out and you're going to go spend $2,000, $3,000 a month on an apartment on 30, 40, 50,000 a year, you're going to have a tough time making that budget work. It's not that you're going flashy or crazy. You're just, living in a place that's too expensive.
Cost of living is expensive, yeah.
Right. It's interesting you say that. And this is an example from, I think this was maybe 14 years ago. I was out in LA and I was hanging out with some guys at a bar one night or a club one night. And we were going to go to another venue, and we climbed into a guy's car and went back to their house first, and then we went to the next venue. When we got to their house, mind you, he was driving a brand new BMW 3 Series.
Okay, not this one.
Okay, so
I know where this is going.
We get to his apartment, and it's a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 guys. One of them sleeps on the couch. And I just thought, I'm coming from Denver, and at that time, Denver had not kind of escalated as much as it has today with the cost of living. And I was just kind of surprised that here he was driving what was probably at the time a $35,000 car, and yet he was renting a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 other guys, and one of them slept on the couch. And I just thought that's an odd juxtaposition of what we are trying to share with the world and what we have on the inside that we don't share with the world. I'm sure he probably wasn't running around telling too many people that he lives in a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 other people. So
it's pretty common, and you'll see 3 people in a studio apartment or 3 people in a 1-bedroom or people with no furniture. I do joke there's a person we assume lives in their Bentley, but they don't have a Bentley, but they don't seem to have a place to live. So
well, that's got to put a cramp on your sex life. You bring somebody home from a bar, I've got the couch. That's enticing.
Not taking anyone home.
You just hope you get taken home all the time.
Well, yeah, that's probably what the strategy has to be on.
Yeah.
The good news is I think with Uber and other ride-sharing apps, a lot less people are driving. So I feel my younger clients are having a lot less pressure to go get that car that maybe they can't afford or aren't as embarrassed with the 1982 Toyota something piece of crap, parked at home isn't as big a deal, not bagging that Toyota, but if it's a 1982, it's been working hard. You don't have to pull up at the Abbey or the gay bar and show it and drive your friends around. You probably are going to Uber and meet people there. So there's been a lot less pressure on some of my younger clients. My older clients still have the feel that they need the convertible or the BMW or this or that to kind of show a little bit more. And some of that's also career driven more than just being at the gay bar, but teach their own.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's interesting that you're talking about this, David. It's it all seems to be wrapped up in this idea of the image and what are we using that image for? Because you mentioned you don't know if it's career, you don't know if it's just trying to impress your friends, or maybe it is you're trying to woo somebody. So it's an interesting topic, and there's lots of questions that swirl around it. And one of our first guests, who was also from LA, he commented that you may live next door to somebody who does have the Porsche, and they can afford it because they're making 3 times the amount of money than you that you do. But does that mean that you need to have that same lifestyle or you need to have that same vehicle? And there's something deep inside of all of us that says, if I don't, maybe I'm not good enough, you know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of an odd question.
Well, I guess I would throw that question to Aaron. I guess I'm assuming as a personal trainer, you spend a lot of one-on-one time with your clients, talking with them and getting to know them better. What do you find is the incentive for them to be as committed to working out or exercising the way they do, or trying to achieve a certain look?
What's the incentive?
Yeah, what to go that far?
I mean, most of my clients find the incentive in their health, to be quite honest.
That's good.
The client base that I deal with, they have money. So that's usually not an issue. However, I deal with a lot of people that are hardworking and dedicate a lot of time to their careers, but that means that the other aspects of their life fall apart, which means usually their health and well-being. So I find my clients are overworked, they're stressed, they have lack of sleep, they don't eat correctly because they're constantly rushed. So they come to me because they can't handle that aspect of their life. So that's their incentive, is the underlying long-term health benefits of it. They see that benefit.
Yeah, it's interesting to say that, because you posted that video on Twitter today, and I had to comment, you know, that you were lifting, and I was just like, oh, I miss the gym, because since we've really kind of since we've really kind of pushed really hard with Debt Free Guys, we've stopped going to the gym regularly, and we're working out at home, which means I have very limited.
Is that this topic tonight? Yeah, the sex.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm wearing a sweater.
Yeah. So, you know, I do agree with you. It's interesting that there are a lot of individuals, especially in LA, who it's their job to look good, and it's their job to portray a certain image, so they can afford, or they are required in some ways to have to spend on that. Yeah. But again, it's I mean, I living next door.
I have clients who I have to get ready for photo shoots. I have clients who I have to get ready for. One client, I had to get him ready for a music video. I have clients that tell me they can't get too big because it doesn't translate to the camera. You're right. A lot of these people, their livelihood depends on looking good and fulfilling an image.
Right. You know, and that's kind of interesting, that image, because it seems to me that it's that image, or images similar to that then get transposed into the pages, whether it's online or print, that gay men and I think the gay community in general looks at and says, that's the image that I want to portray to everyone else.
Of course.
Yeah. Sometimes John and I see guys and we're like, oh, we want to look like that. And then we're like, let's remember, they get paid to look like that.
Well, they're 20 years younger.
No, that's true. They're 20 years younger.
That helps.
Their lives are miserable.
No. Sorry, what were you saying?
I have that conversation a lot. I have, housewives that come to me and say, well, I want to look like Jennifer Aniston. And I say, well, Jennifer Aniston's paid to look like that.
I'd like to look like Jennifer Aniston.
She's got a team of people.
Chef, an assistant, and somebody who handles all sorts of stuff matters for her that everyday people can't really afford or don't have the luxury of having.
Right.
No.
That would help me if I had a personal chef made all my healthy meals for me.
Right.
So instead, I'll have a Snickers tonight for dinner. No, I'm not having one. I'm lying.
You're having
so,
two.
To get us back on track, do gay men spend more than the general public for love and sex in general? Does anybody have an opinion on that? Maybe David?
I don't know if we're going to spend more. It depends on, where you're talking. I think if you're talking a Donald Trump situation, we're going to spend less to get what we need, because we're going to be a little more even-handed there. But I do think there just is in our community more aspects of wanting to look good in your Speedo, and there is the health aspect of not being obese. But I think a lot of us are here, at least here in LA, we are going to the gym with fitness models who are there, and you see their Instagram, and they don't have an ounce of fat, and I'm the fat one in my relationship. I'm not fat by any stretch, but
we've seen your pictures.
Yes, you see my pictures. So I, at the gym, I might be the fat one. So it's all relative to who you're hanging out with and where you're going. I don't think I'm fat by any stretch, but it's all relative. And you want to go be around people, and you have more opportunities, and you have more people in your social circle that are looking good and have their 24-pack abs or whatever the max you can have is. You're doing well. So there is things to keep young, and we don't have kids. Or many of us don't have kids. We have a lot more opportunity and more disposable income to go do those things, and we are living a little bit younger lifestyle than someone our age who was at home with 5 kids might be. You just exactly. You just give up. You're like, screw it. I'm gonna dogs.
Yeah. Well, so when David and I were discussing this, one of the things that the ideas that we came up with is that it's anecdotal and not scientific study by any stretch of the imagination, but we found that our gay friends are a little bit more open sexually than our straight peers. Yeah. And so, having that openness, trying to not be too specific, can cost more money than if you're not as vanilla, so to speak.
Staying at home and having sex with your wife is probably a bottle of wine or 12, depending on how the beast you are, and you go from there. But if you're the gay community, you're going to be traveling, you're going to be on a gay cruise, or you're going to be at the gay bar. And let's be honest, how many gay bars have cheap drinks outside of a happy hour or whatever? The PBR. Colorado, New York, anywhere. Even when I go to Indiana or Kentucky, their drinks are still expensive. They're way cheaper than the Abbey, but they're still way more expensive than the bar down the road. I mean, you go into some straight bar in Kentucky and you're like, oh my God, this is practically free. Whereas the Abbey, you're like, do I have enough credit card limit? And I don't carry debt, but hey, let's see if this card goes through for that $8,000 drink.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's interesting you say that, and we were going to talk about this maybe a little bit later, but since you kind of touched on it a little bit, we were talking about kind of the curve in which the difference between where gay men feel the need to stay sexually attractive, whether they're in a relationship or not, and straight men. And you typically find that a straight man who is in his mid-30s to maybe early 50s is most likely going to be in a relationship where he has a spouse and children and isn't necessarily out in a community where he feels the need, whether he's with somebody or not, to look sexually attractive. But when you're a gay man, whether you've been with somebody for 2 years or 22 years, if you're out in the community, you still feel this need to look good and feel sexually attractive. Whether you're going to do anything or not, you want your friends to come up to you and say, oh, you look cute, you look good tonight. Or, there's some sort of validation going on there. And I can't help but think or ask the question, does that mean that we spend more money on that? Do we spend money on clothes that our straight counterparts wouldn't? Do we spend money going to the gym that our straight counterparts wouldn't? Do we spend money buying drinks for our friends because we want to look impressive to them? The various things that all go into that.
Yeah, we do.
Simple answer.
It's kind of funny because anecdotal evidence is, whether it's 100% valid or not, we can all say that, like you said, Aaron. Yeah, we do. We will agree with you.
Well, our communities, our Denver gay communities like that, and it's everybody that we talk to in other communities seem to have the same experience. So I think whether it's scientific or anecdotal, I think it's right. There's definitely a trend, and that suggests something.
Yeah.
There's people that will fall into that, and there's people that won't. I mean, every community has people that are going overboard and, tanorexic and drinkorexic or whatever way they want to blow the money. And, if we go to, say, Equinox, which I think is one of the more expensive, at least public gyms here, you're going to have straight people, you're going to have gay people there. I think some of the gay people get better value out of it from the looks of them. The working out seems to be working better for them, but that can happen all over the place. So there are people that are spending tons of money. There's people that aren't. There's people that don't really participate in the community. There's people that do the exact same things as straight people, but I think there are quite a few people that do fall into that trap.
Aaron, I'm assuming you have gay and straight clients.
I do.
Do you find that your gay clients tend to spend more money trying to look better than your straight clients?
Not in LA, no. I'd say it's about equal.
Yeah.
When you were in Chicago, was it maybe the same or different?
Well, it's hard to tell because if I have clients, they're coming to me, they're all spending the same amount of money. You know what I mean? So I will say this, my gay clients tend to be more sufficient on their own, so they can train less Like I might see my gay clients only 1 or 2 days a week, and then they'll work out the remaining times. Whereas some of my straight clients, I have guys that I train 5 days a week because they won't come to the gym unless I'm standing next to them. So in that aspect, yes, they do spend more.
I might feel like a straight guy these days.
Or the straight guys would spend more. But no, I mean, it's, I don't think there's that much of a difference in LA.
Yeah.
So I found, in preparing for this, I found an interesting study. Men in general spend a net total of 4 years of their lives perfecting their body, however you want to define that. I'm not exactly sure. I'm assuming at the gym, but there could be other methods. And then there's they spend 6% longer at the gym than women are. Which I found
men or men in general?
Men in general.
Are at the gym 6% more than women?
Yeah.
6 times.
6 times more than women. 6 times longer than women.
Yeah.
That was a poorly written sentence. I apologize.
That's interesting.
You find that?
I mean, are we counting running?
Well, that's what I said.
I find most women just want to run.
Yeah. So I think, when you think of the gym, you're probably thinking more often than not weights.
Right.
And women aren't as drawn towards that as men are. And so if you're a woman, exercising in front of the TV or with a YouTube, a consultant or whatever is a little bit more possible.
Yeah.
Or likely. So.
And I don't think the gym's probably the biggest expense if we're talking spending on looks and being sexy. I'd imagine there's all kinds of waxing and tanning and Botox and fillers and on 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 that we could go for expenses in the gym. The personal trainer going 2 times versus 5 times is a big difference in expense. But if you're just paying for the gym, whether you use it, whether you're doing something right or wrong or getting good results, and I think you brought up a great point there, Aaron, that the gay men probably have a better starting point. They're probably trying to get to a little bit better look at the end result than, I'm 40 pounds overweight. It's not the starting point necessarily. Or, down the road, it's like, I want to have a 6-pack or I want to have a flat stomach rather than like, ooh, my belly's hitting the floor. time to cut back on the beer.
I also have to wonder how much of that time at the gym is actually spent just standing around talking with the guys versus the women who are actually out there running. They're the ones who are they're spending the 45 minutes to an hour running 3 to 4 miles every day, whereas the guys are standing around for 45 minutes of the hour that they're at the gym, and they're only lifting for 15 of it.
Well, that's true too. We've seen at the gym where even straight men are more likely to walk up to a woman who's working out and try to talk to her, whereas it's not as common, I think, for women to walk up to a guy who's bench pressing 400 pounds and try to talk to him.
Yeah.
So that could extend their time at the gym too. So
that would be you walking up to the guy who's bench pressing 400 pounds.
Yeah, right. I'm walked up too. Just kidding. So so this sort of trend of investing as all the in our looks the way that we're talking about, is this something that changes as we age? Do we think, or do we kind of have this homeostasis that we maintain throughout our lives until we actually can't do anything about it?
I think a lot of things will get more expensive as you age because the things that you're going to do become more expensive. At 20-something, you might be like, I'm going to go to the trainer once or do a little bit here or there, and little things like spray tan here or there or tanning a little bit.
Right.
Where when you start to be more 40s, late 30s, I'm in my late 30s, the Botox comes in, the dermatologist comes in, and that stuff's really a lot more expensive than even the most expensive gym membership. If you're having things lasered off or hair removal, all that stuff gets a lot more expensive than just a trainer here or a gym membership there.
Maybe
and this get bigger.
Maybe that's the trend. Maybe that's the reason for the trend in more guys becoming bears.
I don't know. Is that a trend?
It's a lot easier.
It's a trend in Denver. There are more bears than ever. We have to call the population.
We are close to mountains.
They are here. I don't know if their population is growing or they're mating or what.
And I had a question earlier today. What was that? Is a cub today a bear from 1950 or 1960s?
No, is a bear today an otter from the 70s?
Is that has that definition evolved as Americans have gotten larger.
Oh, jeez. I can't speak to that.
There's no scientific data on that.
What do you see, Aaron? As I mean, I know that a lot of the people that you are working with are trying to look good because they're either on camera or they are on stage or something to that effect. But in general, do you see, I mean, in the cross section of the gym, do you see that more men are becoming more comfortable with being a little bit larger, or?
I think as a community, yes. I think that whole movement towards the bear movement is kind of a fuck you to the 90s circuit boy. So I grew up in the 90s. That's when I came of age. So for me, it's all about the circuit boy body, the whack, tanned, super muscled. Like, that's what I was exposed to. And that's how I was conditioned to believe that that's how you had to look to be a gay.
Right.
So it's interesting because I still hold a lot of that in my head. But I see younger kids now that are like, fuck it. It's too expensive to eat all that food. It is. I mean, it is. It takes some
supplements.
And I think that there's been this kind of pushback, and you've got the bear community who's like, accept me as I am, embrace me, which is great. But then I find sometimes they can be kind of ostracizing themselves from everyone else. I feel like we're compartmentalizing ourselves. But yeah, and then you've got like your twinks too. So it's kind of gone both directions. You've got your bears that don't give a shit, and they've gotten whatever, hefty, thick. I like the word beefy. And then you've got your twinks that, you know, are just like, whatever, I'm small and that's it. So yeah, I think that there's been a little bit more of a movement towards that. I find in Los Angeles, I get a lot of guys that are like, I don't want to get too big, which is funny because I always tell them, like, you're not going to just roll out of bed and be big one day. Like, it takes a lot of work to get that big. But everyone here, the trend with fitness right now is everyone's moving more towards a leaner athletic build. Everyone's training like an athlete. That's why CrossFit's so big right now. Everyone wants to train like an athlete to look like an athlete. I have issues with that, but that's a whole other.
Well, so I've got two things to say. One, you've done a better job of maintaining your 90s body than David and I have. But two, I wonder, you know, so you have that you know, gays guy going the bear route or the twink route, or I guess hipster-ish maybe. Yeah, it's a softer term.
I live downtown.
I guess
it's all hipsters.
Yeah. What kind of, I guess that probably doesn't have an immediate financial impact, but possibly a long-term financial impact. If you're ignoring your health and you're going one way or the other, right? That has to have a long-term impact on your health, and healthcare is expensive.
I mean, one of the biggest growing populations for the exercise industry are baby boomers because they're aging. So when people start to get older, and like when people start to hit around 40, things start to ache and they start to hurt, and people start injuring themselves. So
no, they don't.
I get a lot of people that come in and say, oh, I've got a rotator cuff issue because when I was younger, I bench pressed all the time and no one ever checked my form. Or I've got issues with back pain from the working a desk job, sedentary lifestyle. So that older aging client base is seeing the benefits of exercise. And a lot of what I do is not just vanity, but there's a lot of corrective exercise and postural stuff involved as well, and general well-being. I have a client who's 78 years old, and for him, when he came to me, he was in pain all the time. He was constantly in pain. He didn't feel good. His posture was terrible. So for him, it wasn't about having big pecs. For him, it was about quality of life, and, you know, and seeing him, having him come in and say to me, well, I fell down the other day, but I was able to not break something, and I got up by myself. So that's a different scope of a client base that we're dealing with now too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that, you know, you posted something the other day. I saw that the proper way to lift a kettlebell, I think it was. And, you know, I had to laugh because there have been times when John and I have been at the gym and it's like, are they throwing pizza or are they in a mud fight or what's going on?
Just
you see
I mean, when you're young and you have a 20-year-old body, you can make those mistakes because your body is going to be a little bit more cooperative. But when you're 40 and you're doing something that's not correct, your body's going to let you know right away.
Right. And it's kind of funny because I have to laugh because more often than not, the individuals that I see who aren't lifting what I would think, and I don't know proper form, but when I look at that, I'm like, I know that that's not proper form.
That can't be right.
And the vast majority of the time, the reason that they're doing it is that they're trying to lift too much weight.
Absolutely.
And I just have to laugh. I'm like, who are you trying to impress?
Yep.
And why are you trying to impress them? I mean, you weigh 75% of what I do and you're trying to curl 50 pounds. There's just no way it's going to happen. And then their whole body gets moving into it to be able to
lift. That's how you're supposed to do it?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly.
My world.
That's hot. I would totally get turned on if I saw you doing that.
Hey.
Back to the point, are all these behaviors manifestations based on sex drive? Or is this all this with a goal of and maybe you're saying that your client isn't indicative of that, but in the gay community, is all of this predicated on sex and trying to have sex or find that partner?
I mean, I think, it's a big part of it. People, like I said, I grew up in an era where that's how I was conditioned. So I, as a 19 and 20-year-old, thought if I was going to be successful at being gay, that's what I had to look like. And, when you're young and impressionable, you don't understand. But as you get older and you start to understand things more, I think you make smarter decisions. And you start to say things like, well, yeah, it's great to have a six-pack, but I'm hungry. And like I personally, it's a common misconception that I'm only attracted to super muscular guys. I actually like thicker guys sometimes. Six-packs don't turn me on. People find that shocking, but I find that someone who is got maybe a little bit of a belly but is willing to go get ice cream and live life a little to be a lot more exciting than some.
Did you look at my profile on Grindr?
I mean, I've trained for bodybuilding shows, and let me tell you, I would not want to date me while I was show because it's miserable. Like I couldn't eat anything, and I was just a hungry, mean cunt the whole time.
We are going to have to edit this show.
Well, we were on the low carb diet for like a month, and that was like the only time I've ever been a bitch, right?
Yeah.
It's not good for your marriage, is it?
Hey, Aaron, it looks like you froze up there. Are you still with us with the audio? Looks like we might have lost him. All right, that's too bad. It's interesting. You asked the question though, John. Is all of this being done for sex? And I kind of have to ask the question again. Is it sex as in we're actually going to have sex, or is it sex because I want to be sexually appealing to whether it's my community or in various individuals? It's probably something that I don't think that very many men, straight men who are in their 40s, late 30s, 40s or 50s really think that much about. I'm trying to be sexually attractive to the community of guys or women that I'm hanging out with. So, yeah, I'm not trying to say that they don't.
Confident, and I think being sexually confident about your sexuality and being confident about people wanting you, even if you're not at that bar necessarily to get laid, or you're not on Grindr to get laid. You're on there to make friends, of course. You want to feel good. You want to see how people are looking. And I think, I'm in a relationship. You guys are in a relationship. So a lot of times it's just nice to have someone look or to check you out or to be hit on or, not that you're trying to do anything. There's a lot of times you'll be out with your friends. And you're not trying to get laid at that point, regardless of where you're at relationship wise. But it's still nice to have someone, catch your eye or, you catch their eye. So it's not just about
Sorry, if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to let Aaron know if he wants to. Aaron, if you want to try calling back in, we appreciate you being in the rest of the conversation. If not, we understand.
Yeah, we only have about 15 minutes left anyway. Well, only a question or two left anyway.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll go back to kind of what we said earlier. Do you think that's sort of a continuation of trying to overcompensate in a different area, trying to maintain that sexual appeal to make up for maybe feeling inadequate in other areas of your life, or feeling inadequate, when you were younger and maybe weren't able to?
I don't know if it's inadequate. I think a lot of us are catching up. We started a little late. A lot of us, at least of our age range, weren't out and about in, our teens, like many of our straight friends might have been, running around chasing girls. So, we're dragging that sexual fun out a little bit longer, or, we are men and men seeking men and all that good stuff, at least on the gay side. So a lot of us are still a lot more sexual than maybe a female male relationship would be. You can be 400 pounds and I would just say, very, very popular bear if you're straight, and women will find you attractive. You can have a, young, cute wife, and you may not be the cutest guy in the world, but that's, to each their own.
Right. Yeah,
it's like the Donald Trump effect again.
Yeah, there are all types. I mean, we know that we've.
I'm sure she's with him for love. Melania must just love. I mean, that hair and that Oompa Loompa tan. But we'll leave it at that.
And she's always staring in the sun, no matter where she is.
Yeah. What can you do?
We've gone off the rails.
Eventually, we eat our own.
Yeah.
So I'm disappointed that Aaron and Kevin aren't on the show, because the last question we had was, how can we increase or maintain our sexual appeal without going overboard financially? And I was hoping that Kevin could share some style and hair pointers and Eric.
That would be helpful.
Exercise. But since I'm
which question are you looking at?
The last one.
Oh,
You've lost track.
Yeah.
Since I naturally just look at all the time, I don't really have any advice to share.
I think just being a little bit smart with your shopping. You guys told your story of getting out of debt. I mean, just think how much that crunched your budget, just having to pay off the debt. So if you can avoid debt, if you can get some of your things more in line, your expenses in line with what you should be doing. I'm hoping, you don't have to share that 2-bedroom apartment with 3 or 4 or 5 people, but being reasonable with your rent and your expenses or your mortgage, so that you do have money to go buy clothes or buy things or maintain yourself. I mean, you do want to make sure, some of it's vanity, but some of it, I can make sure I'm pale. So I make sure I go to the dermatologist, so I'm not having, huge chunks of cancer cut off at any point in time, not to be negative on the health side, but some of it's health and maintenance, and some of it's more vanity. So,
right.
We try and balance those things out, but if you keep it in order and you're buying a few things here or there, it's much easier to keep up with the expenses, rather than, oh my gosh, I gained 30 pounds and I'm going to go to that trainer 7 days a week and have meal prep and all this stuff that would be really expensive. Or, we never touched on it, but going the next step to liposuction or steroids or all those other fun stuff that are pretty prevalent in the community, gyms, gay and straight, but definitely in the gay community. If we're talking circuit bodies,
us paying off our debt, we realized that when we paid off our debt, and even when our incomes hadn't changed that much after the fact, we had a much better quality of life. We could live better because we weren't financing. Would you estimate it was like $6,000 a year?
No, we were spending close to $10,000 a year just financing our debt, which is
that's like a $10,000 raise,
right?
Which anybody would be doing cartwheels.
Actually, it's probably a $15,000 to $20,000 raise, because you have to earn money, pay taxes on it to pay that off. And just think about it: if we're talking gay lifestyle, or how amazing a trip is that, or how much more can you? Well, that's $10,000 or $6,000 that you're able to go spend on stuff that was just going to nothing.
Right. We kind of talk about it. It was the reason, or part of the reason, why we were able to take a month and spend 30 days traveling around Australia and New Zealand, is because we didn't have any debt, and we were able to save up that $10,000 to $12,000 that we spent on that trip. It was just that not having that overhead of all that debt.
Yeah.
And how much more fun did you have knowing that it wasn't, you weren't worried that last meal was going to max out your credit cards and you weren't going to eat for a few days?
Yeah, well, the last meal actually pissed me off because it's very expensive down there. And so we were in New Zealand, we were in Kakura or Rotorua, and we had our last breakfast, and we just had bacon and eggs and coffee, no alcohol, nothing.
Yeah.
And it was like $55. I was like, I'm ready to go home.
Yeah.
But it was really weird to come back and not have even $1,000 to pay off on our credit card. It was just kind of like when we got home, the trip was over and all we had left were good memories and pictures, and we didn't have, here, the bill's going to come soon, we're going to have to make payments, we got to start working harder, longer.
I'm a big fan of experiences and travel and fun rather than things. I mean, I have nice things, but I'd much rather take a trip, spend time with friends than be like, oh, look at my watch or look at my more expensive car, and I'm joking. I do have my Bentley out front.
Yeah.
But that's not appealing to me, to each their own. But
Right.
And
that's just crazy because I know someone would hit it.
I have to give props to Michael, who's also been listening or watching the show. He's been with us all along. He was on the very first show. And one of the things that he said on the very first show, he
Why don't you bring him in?
comes from a background of being in fashion. And yeah, Michael, if you want to pop into the show, you can call in. That's
We're going to
fine.
wrap up, but we could get some advice from you since you're a stylist.
He said no.
Apparently he doesn't look cute.
He's not camera ready, I guess. Right. But one of the things that he said was when he transitioned from that feeling the need to always be wearing the nicest clothes and looking his best, you come to a realization of why you're doing it all and the debt that it can burden, how it can bring you down, and has found, like he said, he's found other ways to still look good and not have to spend as much money. And I will tell you, he looks good all the time.
What? I'm right here.
No.
And
I have a lot of fashionistas who will put the Gucci suit with the H&M shirt or the H&M tie mixed in. They're mixed in. They know they've got the labels. They know they've got it looking good, and they know what to mix in.
Right.
And you can always drive yourself nuts if you're trying to look great or you're trying to be the skinniest person or the biggest person or the buffest person. There's always someone who's richer, younger, faster, and you're just going to drive yourself crazy. I mean, Some of my richest clients live in amazing neighborhoods, amazing houses, but their neighbor's richer.
Right.
And by any stretch, that crazy mansion would be amazing, a dream home for 99.9% of people out there, but their neighbor's house is bigger.
And is that something that they dwell on?
They do dwell on it quite a time, or it's sometimes something people are relative. You're like, well, I don't spend that much on my travel, or I don't spend, like, especially in the gay community, you're like, well, I don't spend that much on clothes compared to Bob, or on credit card debt. I'll hear it when people come in. Well, my friend has a lot more debt or more student loans or spends more, and it's a relative thing. So, they're dwelling on it a little bit, but they're not maybe taking action because it's not fun to want to pay down debt. As you guys saw, that was a lot of work, but it's so nice to have it paid off, and it's so nice to be doing things. But you can be happy and be like, our house is so amazing, our car is so amazing, this trip is so amazing, or you can be negative and be like, oh, day 2 it rained. Well,
right. And we have found that there's so many other things that there's so many ways to have a good time, whether that's with other people or by yourself, that you don't have to spend a ton of money. And even just looking good and going to the park and taking your shirt off and strutting around, then you don't have to spend any money. It's a lot cheaper than going to the park. And so,
if we're at the park, really, are you noticing the guy's expensive gym clothes, or you're noticing the guy that looks like he's very athletic and maybe looks good with his shirt off?
Right, exactly.
There's certain level. I mean, there's certain shorts I'm just going to find that are, okay, where did those come from? They're hideously dressed, but if they're cute enough, we'll put up with that, especially
Put up with anything.
They must have just got off the bus from God knows where, but
So Michael
just
has
got back from the gym. Right, Michael just said, just got back from the gym.
Michael has a question though. He asked, or can you put that over there or no?
He needs to.
Does having a partner help make it easier to save money or to pay off debt? I'll throw that to you, David.
I think it does make it a lot easier. I think it can make it a lot harder because that's 2 people that want to go spend or want to take a trip, but it can make things a lot easier. I think there are studies that show that couples are more likely to accumulate wealth. Couples are more likely to sit down and take the steps to make a financial plan and actually save. It's much easier to not be accountable if it's just you. Like once you guys sat down and we're going to pay off your debt, it's probably much harder if the other person was sticking with it for you to go run off and do it. Where while you're running up the debt, it's also probably much easier to run up the debt. Like, you're just starting to date, you want to go take this amazing trip to Australia, and you're not going to say no if one of you can't really afford it, or you're trying to keep up, or you're taking those expensive dinners. So it can be much easier to save. It doesn't mean it will be easy, but it means that you have a lot more opportunity and you have a lot more of the triggers. I think there's certain life triggers like getting married or getting coupled that you start to have to think about your money. Like when you move in with someone, how are we going to split the bills?
Right.
What bills are there? Those types of things. Or getting married, like, hi,
Yeah.
the wedding, how much to spend on the wedding and all the other fun stuff.
Yeah. Michael brings up a good point, though, about what I think he's kind of getting at is that you have an accountability partner. And that's one of the things that John and I talked about in our book early on was that, and actually I think it's in the first chapter, if you're doing it by yourself.
On Amazon.com.
Yeah. If you're doing it by yourself, find someone that you can socialize your commitment to. Whether it's a close friend or a family member, we told the family members and some friends that we were getting out of debt and that we were going to be changing our lives. So I don't think it's 100% certain that if you have a partner, it's going to be easier or better for you. I think what it really is having somebody that you can confide in, or somebody that's going to back you up, or somebody who's going to call you out sometimes and say, hey, you're not sticking to your plan.
Right. Doesn't AA have a requirement that you have like a buddy or something?
Yeah.
The sponsor. So. Yeah.
The sponsor.
Right.
So it's probably what that's based on, is that you're more likely to hold to your goal if you have somebody else making you accountable.
Right.
So the same thing probably applies to staying in shape, losing weight, whatever, paying off your debt,
right,
saving for money for whatever goals you have.
I mean, we know that there are times when the alarm goes off and one of us doesn't want to get out of bed and the other one says, get out of bed, and the swift kick in the butt, and then you're out of bed.
And that's why my butt's flatter than you would like it to be. Right?
Is there a foot mark in one butt cheek?
Just
Yeah.
So I think that kind of covers everything we wanted to cover. So thank you, David, for joining us and
Thanks for having me. I'm glad it worked out this time.
Absolutely. And we want to thank Aaron for joining us. Sorry he lost connection, and hopefully we can have him back on another show. And sorry that Kevin couldn't join us for technological difficulties, and hopefully we can have him back on a different show.
Yeah, definitely.
We definitely want to thank HIV Smart for their sponsorship. So if you have not already done so, please check out hivsmart.org. And I just received word from Ryan, who manages HIV Smart. They're doing a GoFundMe campaign. I didn't get to see what that campaign is, but he's Rockstar, so I'm sure that's Rockstar as well. So check that out. And then don't forget to join us next week when we talk about whether or not second and third tier cities are better for gays as opposed to top tier cities like LA and San Francisco and New York City.
Advantages all both ways.
A lot of people. And don't forget to subscribe to our Career Money Lifestyle newsletter. If you have not already done so, you can do so on our homepage. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. David will be doing some mad editing tomorrow night, and we'll have the new video up on Thursday.
Great. Sounds good.
So thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.